pushing down on it, not letting him up.
Like right there, you got a hold of his head now. Right. These boys are really fighting, I'll tell you that. This is a really good middleweight fight, son. I don't care what language you're in, where you're from, this is a great middleweight fight. Both of these guys came to win tonight.
Stop.
My hat goes off to speak because he changed his style and made this a very good fight. And it's going to be a hard one to judge.
Let him go, come on, fight. Stop punching, back up.
Cesar Chavez Jr. has showed a lot of heart.
You don't usually see this. The life of privilege doesn't generally tend to lend itself to a prize fighter, to the fight game. But Chavez Jr. led a life of privilege, and he's a real fighter.
Stop, break, step away from each other.
He learned the real things about life.
Tremendous performance
by both fighters.
By Sebastian Speak and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. To the body goes Jr. one more time. Both men exalt as if they're winners. Tremendous performance. You take a look at Harold Letterman's card round by round. He's got Chavez Jr. winning by 4 points. You heard Max's thoughts on some of that earlier. Could go in a lot of different directions. Roy, as we take a look at the judges for tonight's fight. Raul Caiz Jr., 14 title fights. He had Broner's decision over Ponce de Leon, 96-94 for Broner. John Keane from England, 43 title fights. Pascal's technical decision over Dawson. He had scored it for Dawson through 11. Steve Morrow out of California, 14 title fights. Pascal Hopkins won, draw. He scored it for Hopkins by 2 points. Wow, Speak landed some big shots early. Just doesn't have power, only 10 knockouts on his resume, and then had to endure a huge body attack from Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
I tell you what, they didn't hand him no title tonight, even if he gets his decision, because that was a tough performance against a very tough opponent who did not come here to not leave as champion.
Well, will Speak be able to enjoy his 2-week stay in the U.S. after the fight with his belt and a win? Or is Julio Cesar Chavez victorious? Michael Buffer has the judges' scorecards.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Staples Center, Los Angeles, we go to the score totals. Steve Morrow scores the bout 114, 114 even. Raul Caiz Jr., 115, 113. John Keane, 116 to 112. The winner by majority decision. And new WBC middleweight champion of the world, still undefeated, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Roy, majority decision for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I don't think any real outlandish scores. You know, you could swing around here or there, and maybe it tilts the other guy's way, but a very close competitive fight.
A very close competitive fight. I think you probably may see a rematch in this fight. I think it'd be good for both fighters because it was a very close fight, a very challenging fight, and I think both fighters did a really good job for themselves tonight.
Take a look at the final punch stats in the fight for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Sebastian Speak. Speak was busier. He landed at 47%, 32% for Chavez Jr., who came on late with more volume. Power shots in Speak's favor, 54% to 33% for Chavez Jr., who threw more over the balance of the fight and predominantly to the body. As we zero in on punch zone, 143 connects to the body by Chavez Jr. to the left, to the body of Beek. Whereas Beek did not attack the body at all. He landed just 29 body shots on the right to the body of Chavez Jr. He used his jab, landed 355 to the head. Close fight, but Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. the winner by majority decision. Max is standing by with the newly crowned champion.
Julio Jr., congratulations on a very exciting fight. It seems, based on the scorecards and the way the last round went, that you needed that last round to win. Did you feel that way going into the 12th?
Bueno, yo sentía que la pelea iba muy pareja. Yo intenté ganar cada round de la pelea. Sabía que iba pareja y salí con todo a ganar el último round porque sabía que era crucial para la pelea.
I thought the fight was pretty even, but I knew I had to come out strong and win the final round. I knew it was very even, but I knew it was crucial that I come out and win that fight to win the battle.
Were you surprised at his aggression? He's usually a much more defensively oriented fighter. He came out pretty fast.
Así es. Tiene una gran guardia. Venía a retener su título. Es un muy buen peleador, pero peleé con todo el corazón y yo dije que este título lo iba a ganar para México.
He's got a great defense and he came to defend his title. He's a great fighter, he's great heart, but I came to win this title for Mexico.
We kept hearing before the fight you were going to fight more on the outside and use your size. But there you were on the inside, throwing the family Chavez body shots. Why?
Lo que pasa es que yo sentí que lo lastimé abajo y seguí mi golpeado al cuerpo. Y creo que esa fue la clave. Ella no podía los últimos rounds de la pelea.
I felt I hurt him to the body and that was the key, and I felt that he couldn't continue on as the fight went on.
Generally, I hate to discuss sanctioning body belts. However, your father held this belt for many years, and now you have it. Can you tell us what you're feeling about that?
Me siento muy contento por ganar este título y voy a trabajar muy duro porque quiero ser campeón por mucho tiempo y hacer historia para México como lo hizo mi padre.
I'm very happy to win this title. I'm going to work very hard to keep this title as long as possible and for Mexico and to keep it as long as my father did.
What did your dad tell you after the fight?
Congratulations, I love you.
Congratulations, Julio. One more thing. Now that you have a belt, the recognized middleweight champion of the world is Sergio Martinez. Do you have any interest at all in fighting Sergio Martinez, the recognized middleweight champion, in the near future?
Yo dije que siendo campeón no iba a reunir a nadie. Si Bob Arum me paga dinero, peleo con quien sea.
I said that as a champion, I wouldn't reject no one. If Bob Arum pays me the money, I'll fight whoever.
Congratulations on a very exciting fight and the belt win, Julio Jr.
Gracias, y este título es para todos los mexicanos. Los quiero mucho a todos.
Sebastian, what do you think about the decision? Let's start with that.
Well, what can I say? I knew before that I have to win the fight in a very clear way, so there were many rounds in this fight which were very close, and I know when a round is closed, they give it for Chavez Jr. He's a strong fighter. Congratulations to his new belt, and well, I think the first rounds were mine, but what can I say? I knew before that I would have to win the fight very clear to be successful at the end. But let me say, first of all, thank you to the people of Los Angeles. I was 4 weeks here, I had a great time. Thank you to the crowd. Congratulations again to Julio. And some words in Germany. Vielen Dank an die Leute, die hier mit hergekommen sind. Ihr seid echt die Geilsten, die es gibt. Und viele Grüße nach Hause.
Thanks for a very exciting fight.